He had no money. He had no rich family. He had no easy life. But he had one powerful thing: a dream. And sometimes a dream is enough to change everything. His name was Daniel. He was a poor boy from a small village. His house was old and very small. When it rained, water came through the roof. The walls were weak. The floor was cold. And in the kitchen, there was never much food. Some days, the family only had rice and tea. Daniel lived with his mother and his little sister. His father had died years ago. After that, life became much harder. His mother worked every day. She washed clothes for other people. She cleaned houses. Sometimes she came home very late, with tired eyes and aching hands. Daniel saw everything. He saw his mother's pain. He saw her quiet tears when she thought no one was looking. And every time he saw that, he made the same promise in his heart: one day, I will change our life. Daniel was still a student, but he was different from other boys. He did not dream about expensive clothes. He did not dream about parties or fun trips. He dreamed about success. He dreamed about a better future for his family. He wanted to become an engineer. He loved building things. He loved fixing broken things. When other children played games, Daniel sometimes sat alone with an old notebook. In that notebook, he drew houses, bridges, and machines. The notebook was old. Some pages were torn, some pages were dirty. But to Daniel, that notebook was full of hope. Every morning, Daniel woke up before sunrise. He helped his mother carry water. He cleaned the house. He helped his little sister get ready for school. And then he walked to his own school. He did not have a bicycle. He did not have money for the bus. So he walked. Sometimes under the hot sun, sometimes in the rain, sometimes with an empty stomach. At school, Daniel was quiet. His uniform was old, his shoes were worn out, his school bag was faded and broken at one corner. Some students looked at him and laughed. "Look at his shoes," they whispered. "He is too poor," they said. "How can someone like him succeed?" Daniel heard everything. Of course, he heard it. Their words hurt him, but he said nothing. He did not fight. He did not argue. He only held his books tighter and kept walking. Because Daniel understood something important. People can laugh at your situation, but they cannot stop your future if you keep moving forward. One day, his math teacher asked the class, "What do you want to be in the future?" Some students said doctor. Some said singer. Some said businessman. Then it was Daniel's turn. He stood up slowly and said, "I want to be an engineer." For 1 second, the room was quiet. Then a few students laughed. "An engineer? The poor boy wants to be an engineer." Daniel felt his face grow hot. He wanted to sit down, but then his teacher smiled. "That is a very good dream," the teacher said. "If you study hard and never give up, you can do it." Those words stayed in Daniel's heart. For the first time, someone did not laugh at his dream. Someone believed in him. And from that day, Daniel worked even harder. He studied early in the morning. He studied during lunch break. He studied at night, under a weak lamp. When the electricity went out, he studied by candlelight. Some nights, he was so tired, his eyes closed while reading. Some nights, his stomach hurt because he had not eaten enough. But still, he opened his books again. His mother often said, "Daniel, you should rest." But Daniel smiled and answered, "Just a little more, Mom. I'm almost done." He knew something very clearly. Education was his only chance. He had no money. He had no connections. He had no rich relatives to help him. So, He used the only thing he had: hard work. Months passed, then years passed. Daniel became one of the top students in school. His teachers were proud of him. Even the students who once laughed at him became quiet. They could see his determination. They could see he was serious. But life was still not easy. During his final year of school, his mother became sick. She could not work for some time. Money became even more difficult. There were days when Daniel thought about leaving school to find a job. One evening, he sat outside the house alone. The sky was dark, the air was cold, and for the first time in a long time, he felt afraid. What if I cannot continue? What if dreams are only for rich people? What if I fail? Just then, his little sister came and sat next to him. She looked at him and said softly,
"Brother, when I grow up, I want to be strong like you."
Daniel looked at her small face. Then he looked at the house. Then he looked at his sick mother resting inside. And in that moment, he understood something. He was not fighting only for himself. He was fighting for all of them. The next day, he talked to his teacher. His teacher listened carefully and then said, "There is a scholarship exam next month. If you pass it, your school fees will be paid. This is your chance." A scholarship. That word became light in Daniel's darkness. From that day, he studied harder than ever before. He reviewed every lesson. He solved every math problem. He borrowed old books. He practiced until midnight. He made mistakes, corrected them, and tried again. Finally, exam day arrived. Daniel was nervous. His hands were cold. His heart was beating fast. But he remembered his mother's tired face. He remembered his little sister's words. He remembered his dream. So he took a deep breath and began. Days later, the results came out. Daniel stood in front of the notice board with many other students. His eyes moved slowly down the list. Then he saw his name. Daniel Parker, scholarship winner. For a moment, he could not move. He looked again and again. Then, tears filled his eyes. He had done it. He ran home as fast as he could. When he reached the house, he shouted, "Mom, Mom, I got it! I got the scholarship!" His mother looked at him in surprise. Then she understood. She covered her mouth and started crying. Not from sadness, but from pride, from relief, from hope. She held Daniel tightly and said, "I knew you could do it." That day, their small house felt brighter than ever before. Years later, Daniel went to university. Life was still not easy. He still studied hard. He still saved every coin. He still lived simply. But now, he had a path. Now, he had a real chance. He never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the broken roof, the long walks, the empty stomach, and the people who laughed at him. And he never forgot his dream. After many years of hard work, Daniel became an engineer. He got a good job in the city, and for the first time in his life, he earned real money. But the first thing he did was not buy expensive things for himself. He went back home, he repaired the old house, he bought medicine for his mother, he paid for his sister's education, and one evening, as his family sat together in their new home, Daniel smiled quietly. This was the life he once only imagined. This was the future he once drew in an old torn notebook. He had no money. He had many problems. He had many reasons to give up. But he kept going, and that is why he won. Because success does not always begin with money. Sometimes it begins with pain. Sometimes it begins with struggle. Sometimes it begins in a small, broken house. But if your dream is strong, if your heart is brave, and if you refuse to give up, your life can change. He had no money, but he had a dream. And in the end, that dream was stronger than poverty, stronger than fear, and stronger than every person who doubted him. What about you? Do you have a dream that you still believe in? And if people laugh at you, will you still keep going?